Today on Western News, the Canadian government introduces legislation to prevent cyberbullying. Greenpeace activists protest in Montreal. And Italy declares a state of emergency after a cyclone.
Good afternoon, London. I'm Mason Zimmer.
And I'm Courtney Cook. Here's what's making news this hour. A new development in the Senate scandal. RCMP released court documents today showing their investigation has expanded to the Prime Minister's office. The RCMP is investigating former Chief of Staff Nigel Wright and Senator Mike Duffy for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. RCMP Corporal Greg Horton said in court that he believes Wright offered Duffy money or favor without the written consent of the Prime Minister. The court documents also include email excerpts suggesting numerous senior officials in the Prime Minister's office where negotiations were involved. Ontarians may soon be able to remove their elected officials from office. MPP Randon Hillier introduced a private member's bill earlier today detailing his plans for voter recall legislation. While the bill specifically targets MPPs, it can be amended to include municipal government officials. The bill comes after Toronto Mayor Rob Ford received international attention for his alleged substance abuse problems.
Afghanistan's foreign ministry has published a draft of its security agreement with the U.S. over whether or not U.S. troops will be staying in Afghanistan after 2014. Our reporter Courtney Cook has been following this story. Courtney, what details can you tell us about this draft?
Well, Josh, this draft has been worked on since July of this year, and again, it begs the big question that has been going on for quite some time, actually since 2011, should U.S. troops stay in Afghanistan after 2014? Now, this draft is basically an open-ended commitment that if it's to move forward, U.S. troops would stay in Afghanistan to continue training Afghani troops and police in the fight against al-Qaeda. Now, while some of the details of this draft are still kind of vague, we do know that in this 25-page document that U.S. troops would not be allowed to make arrests or enter Afghani homes, among some other restrictions in the draft.
Still ahead, European Union awards Malala with a Human Rights Prize.
Welcome back. A local chef and author is launching her 5th cookbook today. Jill Wilcox welcomes Londoners to stop by Jill's Table on King Street to sample her food and purchase her book tonight.
One of the ones I really enjoy is mashed potatoes, for example, and you would think, well, leftover mashed potatoes, what would you do with it? You can make gnocchi, which are those beautiful Italian, almost like a dumpling in a pasta. You can make Greek scordalia, which is a beautiful dip, very garlicky. You can also make leek and potato soup from those leftover mashed potatoes. So this is a very personal compilation of how I cook at home.
The Italian government declared a state of emergency after Cyclone Cleopatra devastated the island of Sardinia. At least 17 people, including 4 children, have been killed and thousands of others displaced after the cyclone and heavy rain hit the Italian island. In the worst hit areas, water levels reached up to 3 meters high. The Italian Prime Minister called the cyclone a national tragedy. He pledged $27 million for immediate emergency relief for Sardinia. Pope Francis held a prayer at St. Peter's Square in Rome today to show solidarity for all those who were impacted by the disaster. And that's all for your 1 o'clock news. I'm Courtney Cook.
And I'm Mason Zimmer. Thanks for watching.